Y'all, happy Thursday. I was fixing to say happy Friday, but that's not at all right. Nonetheless, man, it's good to talk to y'all again. Hope you're excited about Sunday. I really hope you had a great Easter and a little bit of time off, all that good stuff. We certainly did. I'm still eating um, Peeps, which is pretty awesome. Did you guys know that they make pancake and syrup flavored Peeps, by the way? Thought that was pretty great. Ate one of those this week. Anyway, let's get rolling. This week's lesson's fun, even though it may not necessarily appear that way at first. So let's get into it. Number one, option number one, the opening question bit. Option number one is awesome. That question about how do we experience God today is a phenomenal question. That's way too heavy though to open your lesson with. So ask that question later on. Just don't start off with that question. I think that'd be great. I do love option two with the building of the Legos thing. If you want to do that, if you want to get some Play-Doh, that's cool. If you need some help with that, let me know. We have Play-Doh, we have Legos. That would be great. Number two, real worship is freely given. It's not done begrudgingly. They make that point in the lesson, but really emphasize that because I'm not sure the students always understand that. Now we do. There's lots of times when we tell them, "Hey, you need to stand up during the song," or take your hat off when you pray, or there's little things that we teach them to do while we come to worship God, and that's how they learn. But what they also need to know, though, is that for it to be real, it's got to be freely offered on their part. So really drive that home to them. That's an important lesson for them to learn. Number three, and I really like this point, and I hope that this will register well with them. Bezalel and Oholiab, and I'm sure I'm saying those two names wrong, but those are two very normal guys. You could say that they were construction workers. If you want to be a little bit more exact, one of them was an architect and the other one would have been a contractor. Those would be the modern day terms for them. But these were two very normal dudes. They weren't priests, they weren't small group leaders, they weren't speakers. These were just normal guys that God had given normal gifts. That all of a sudden now it was time to use these gifts in a very unusual and very holy way to build the tabernacle. The point is this: God uses our everyday talents and gifts to accomplish his purposes. We've got lots of students that are never going to be pastors. They're never going to be connection group leaders. Some of them will never be deacons. Some of our normal church titles, some of the big ways to serve Jesus, they're never going to do those things. But they need to know that they still have an important role in the kingdom, and the talents that God has given them, even and especially in the jobs that they're going to have someday, are going to be how God is going to advance his kingdom through them. So help them see that and understand and really grasp that. And all of you understand this too, because all of you have regular everyday jobs. And so tell them how you get to serve God in your job and how God has gifted you with the skills that you have for your job and how God lets you advance his kingdom that way. So really help them understand that. That's a big, big deal. The next thing, and I think it's kind of interesting, there were 6 tons of precious metal needed to build the temple. Never mind the jewels and the stuff to make the tent itself and the wood. There was a lot of things, and none of these things were cheap. None of these things were easy to come by. And so I'm sure when God sent down word, "Hey, I wanted to build this thing, and here's what you're going to need to do it," that probably seemed like a gargantuan amount of money, or however you want to phrase that. That seemed like a huge task until you take in consideration the fact that there's 2 million plus of us to do this job. And if you wanted to start to pass around the hat, all of a sudden that didn't seem like so much. And to help the students to see, again, to accomplish God's purposes, not only do we need our individual talents, but we need to use them together. So we need all of us to give. We need everybody to participate to pull these things off. That's how God's kingdom is advanced again. So everybody has a role to play. And then the last thing, I don't know if it's something you can share with the students or not, but I can't help but think about this as you talk about this lesson. And it's this. Usually every late September, sometimes early October, Jews celebrate what's known as the Festival of the Booths, or the Festival of the Tabernacle. And this is a festival where they really remember 2 very important things, and they celebrate a particular way. Literally, they live in tents for a week, the ones who still participate this, but they certainly did in olden days. They'd live in a tent again for a week, and they would remember how God provided for them during this, what ended up being a 40-year journey. But also they remembered the fact that God himself came and dwelled in a tent also. because God wanted to show that he wanted to be near his people. And they just really cling to that, even still to this day, that God wanted to be close to us. Now, we celebrate that in a different way, and we have our own holiday for that. That's Christmas. That's when we celebrate that God came down to dwell amongst his people, and God still dwells amongst his people now via his Holy Spirit. Um, but it's important for us to remember and to celebrate that fact. So, Jews did it with a tent. We get to do that every single Sunday when we remember God's presence in our lives. Hey guys, I love y'all. I'm praying for you. Be sure to read the email. A lot of important stuff for y'all to see. We'll talk to you later. Bye.